911 emergency.
Hi, I'm here in 𝗪𝗪𝗧. I'm a security guard. I just have a gentleman out here. He just told me he got sleeping alongside the wall, down from the 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗧 shelter. Right? I thought I was going to well, I'm an addict. I'm homeless. I'm in Seattle. I just got here 2 days ago. I'm gonna be brutally honest with you, and I've been before, and I don't like this shit, man. I'm totally straight. Love women, man.
I'm KOMO News reporter Jeremy Harris. I'm going to walk you through the criminal charges and then tell you how the city of Bellevue is responding to some of those concerns from neighbors. Well, let's start with our suspect. His name is Samuel Hitchcock. He is 28 years old, and we first heard about him back in August. And that's when Bellevue police put out the word saying they needed help tracking him down because he was a suspect in a homicide case. What we know about that case is it was back on July 30th, and there were some folks who were living in the Eastgate area of Bellevue. And there are two facilities designed to help the homeless. There's one called the Porch Light, which is a homeless shelter for adult men. Then there's also a Plymouth housing facility, which provides supportive housing for people who are coming out of homelessness.
Another insane evening here outside Bellevue's Plymouth Crossing Porch Light campus. Cops say they're now looking for a guy possibly wielding weapons.
Two people who had been kicked out of the Porch Light shelter, they were camping in the bushes of a nearby office park. That's where investigators say two men, Samuel Hitchcock and then the victim in this case, Jason Clark, they were camping in the bushes, and they had been laying down in the bushes drinking alcohol in the early morning hours. It's estimated this happened around 1 a.m.
All units stand by for emergency. It's going to be at Plymouth Crossing Apartments, 13638 Southeast Eastgate Way, Unit 125. Bear mace has been sprayed into the unit.
When one of them was spilled alcohol on the other, according to a witness who was there, they said that Hitchcock had spilled alcohol on the victim, who is Clark, and that started an argument between them. The witness says that argument escalated to the point where Hitchcock started beating the victim and eventually walked out of the area after taking what detectives described was $3,000 that the victim, Jason Clark, had on him.
Subject also has a knife. The subject's going to be a Hispanic male with tattoos on his face, black hair, Adidas pants, green jacket, unknown direction of travel. He arrived on foot.
He escaped?
He's out. I guarantee you he's down in there somewhere. Well, he is armed.
He's armed?
Yes, sir.
With what?
Machete, a big knife,
What?
and some bear mace. No lie.
Those are all incidents that have happened at Bellevue's Plymouth Crossing, which is literally, let's see, what is that one? Just almost due south from my office by 3 miles, 4 miles, something like that. It's in the Eastgate neighborhood. So you can see why neighbors protest when homeless shelters, supportive housing, get jammed into their neighborhood. The county, city just says, yep, we're going in here. And neighbors say, no, we don't want that. The clips I just showed you are the reason they don't want that. Dude gets R-worded, right? And not Republican. The other one, right? You got a guy chasing around people with a machete. You got another person who got R-worded. There's two males that got R-worded. You've got overdoses that happen all the time. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on because the whole concept of housing first does not work. You can't take a bunch of whacked out addicts, stick them in housing, and then hope for the best. Well, we're going to try and get them some help. No, you're not. You're just going to let them do fentanyl in their room. They're going to close the door. They're going to do their fetty in there. And they're going to say, oh, I'm not doing anything. It's supportive housing for drug addicts and whacked out drug addicts at that, because they're usually coming off homelessness. So, for communities to not want this in their neighborhood, not in my backyard, is a real thing. We've got another one of these projects by Plymouth Housing or Crossing or whatever it is that's going to be right next to the light rail in Redmond, Washington. So Microsoft territory, right? And the crazy thing is, they just opened up the light rail from Seattle. It goes all the way out to Redmond to this last stop. So the east side, Bellevue, Redmond, Kirkland, is now basically open to Seattle. Let the homeless, whacked out drug addicts start coming to the east side, bringing all their crime, their criminality with them. And at the same time, Governor Ferguson is signing into law a law that drops barriers for homeless shelters permanent supportive housing. This law is designed to be able to jam supportive housing, shelter for the homeless, whacked out drug addicts into your neighborhood if you live in Washington state. This law basically overrides citizens' ability to say, no, we don't want that here in our community. We don't want that. Well, now it's illegal to do that. Can't do that. Just no go. Can't do that. Instead, you're going to have to listen to 911 calls about dudes wiping their behind because they just got R-worded. Yeah. Shh, don't say anything about that. Oh, mom's the word. Oof. There's some nice communities near the thing we're talking about. There's some nice communities there. Don't say anything. Nope, don't say anything. Woodridge. All right, let's read the article. New Washington state law will require local governments to allow housing for people experiencing homelessness in residential areas. Communities across the state have pushed back to varying degrees to permitting homeless shelters and permanent supportive housing in their neighborhoods. I have one close to my neighborhood. It's maybe a mile and a half away. We haven't had the ridiculous amount of stuff that Plymouth Crossing has had happen, but you do see people, you'll see people nodding off. You'll see people lighting up fentanyl at your favorite gas station. It goes with the territory. So instead of saying, hey, we're not accepting drugs. We're not accepting the whacked out way that you homeless people live. We're not accepting tents. Instead of doing that, instead of saying, oh yeah, here's your Narcan, I hope you get better. Instead of doing that, what about actually working with these drug addicts to get them sober? What about that? Oh, we're not doing that at all. Because that doesn't line up with housing first. Housing first is the principle that you throw somebody in a shelter and it's all going to be good. 2 thumbs up. All right, guys. And it just doesn't. I mean, the clips we just saw are evidence of exactly why you don't want this kind of law in your community. But hey, it's statewide now. So yeah, way to go. House Bill 2266, which Governor Bob Ferguson signed Friday, limits their ability to stop these projects. So, Washington State, you can just have one of these massive communities jammed down your throat. And guess what you got to do? Smile, bend over, and take it. Enjoy, people. Enjoy. Ferguson signed the new law and a slew of other housing-related bills that amount to nothing at Hope Works Station, an affordable housing complex in Everett. Permanent supportive housing assists people with disabilities in getting stable housing and resources, while transitional housing is temporary help before people move into something more permanent. You know what? Getting people into treatment is housing. Getting people into a mental institution is housing. Getting people into jail is housing. We don't need all this other nonsense. We really don't. House Bill 2266, sponsored by Representative Strom Peterson, Democrat, clearly from Edmonds, requires cities to allow transitional and permanent supportive housing in residential and hotel development zones in an urban growth area. Indoor emergency shelters and housing must be allowed in zones where hotels are allowed. So this is in direct response to 𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗜𝗏, which I've reported on before. It's an old hotel. My grandma used to stay there with my disabled uncle, and they are turning that into a homeless complex. And next door, you've got like a private high school. You got a bunch of 16-year-old girls running around. Do you think it's really a good idea when you've got man-on-man rape happening to have some 16-year-old girls, 17-year-old girls, 18-year-old girls next door to a homeless complex? No, absolutely not. It's mind-blowing. But yep, that's going to go in. So wherever you've got a hotel, the deal is you can take some of these older hotels, buy them, and that's what the one is close to me. It's a mile and a quarter away. It's an old Silver Cloud. Well, the other hotel that they've turned into this kind of thing is 𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗏. And it's going to be, off the hook. It's going to be just like Plymouth Crossing. All those clips at the beginning we heard. Under a 2021 law, cities can't block permanent supportive housing in residential zones and shelters in areas with hotels. So, there's a lot of areas, residential areas that have hotels. You'd be surprised. When you're driving through and You kind of look out and there's a bunch of trees. You're like, is that an office? Oh, it's a hotel. That kind of deal, right? Not that far from a lot of folks' homes, because residential areas, hotels, you're usually kind of on the fringe of the business district. Local governments, subject to the new requirement, can't impose conditions for this so-called step housing. They're more restrictive than other developments, and mandates they can impose on affordable housing providers are limited to income qualification, coordinated entry, reporting, and monitoring. So you can't say, hey, you got to be sober to be here. You can't do any of that. There's no mandates. There's no, making things conditioned upon, hey, yeah, we'd love to have you. We'd love to get you off the street. We'd love to have you come stay with us here. But here's the deal. Every 3 days, you're going to have to do a urine analysis. You're going to have to be sober. You're going to have to be in a 12-step program. But no, what are we doing instead? Instead, on the radio from Washington State Department of Health, we are literally hearing advertisements for, if you're smoking the Fetty, do it with somebody else. Make sure you know who has the Narcan so they can re-alive you. I mean, it's the most backwards thing you've ever heard. Not, hey, how can we help you get off the dope? Instead, how can we help you come back to the living after you overdose? Because we know you're going to overdose. Why are you overdosing? Well, because China's sending a bunch of chemicals down to Mexico. Mexico was sending them across a wide open border during the last administration, bringing the drugs in here and killing people. Still ongoing. Mercer Island, very wealthy community just to the south and west of me. Paul Allen. It's island in between Bellevue and Seattle. It just had its first overdose. Its first Fetty overdose. And that's because light rail is now going from Redmond all the way over into Seattle and all the way up to Linwood. But when you open that up last weekend, it means that the whacked out homeless drug addicts that are crazy are going to start doing Fetty in communities like Mercer Island. Wouldn't Paul Allen be proud? Yeah, no. Counties and cities can require prospective operators of indoor emergency shelters or housing to hold a community meeting, notify local residents, and provide further information if the shelter will be within 500 feet of a school. Local government can negotiate additional reasonable requirements. Guys are getting raped in the bushes. What kind of reasonable requirement you going to have going on here? You know what I mean? What, a whole bunch of police? Private security on board? They just do whatever they want to do anyway. Steal from the community? Oh, yeah, it's all fun and games. I mean, this is good stuff. I mean, yeah. Sign me up. I want that in my neighborhood. Majority Democrats in the legislature pushed this measure through with no Republican votes because no sane person wants this in their community. No sane person wants this kind of nonsense in their community because housing first does not work. Got to make a condition upon getting sober, getting them whatever help they need, getting them on a different path other than, hey, here's your room keys. Go smoke that Fetty. You can do it, Tiger. I believe in you. Oh, yeah, in the lobby. We got lots of Narcan. Good luck up there. Backers hope the new law, which takes effect in June, will minimize costly delays caused by local government apprehension. Local governments don't want this. It's being jammed down their throats. Don't want it. So why are we doing a bill jamming it down their throats? Good question, right? What's the end goal here? Is it just to destroy communities? I mean, it's not going all that well in Eastgate. It's not really going all that well there, right? What the word is, don't say anything about that. Mum's the word, because it's Bellevue, It's Bellevue. Don't say anything. Don't bring it up. Jonathan Cho doing some amazing coverage over there. Jeremy Harris of Como. Handful of articles. We saw a clip of him earlier. Crazy stuff going on. Absolutely nuts. You know what? The East Side, Bellevue, it hasn't had to deal with that much. Because it's hard to get a bus around. But now that we've got the light rail, criminal illegals, whacked out drug addicts, hop on the light rail, come on over, do your Fetty, do whatever, do another dude. It's all good. It's all good. And the law will cover it. Because now communities don't have the ability to say, you know what? that isn't really something that we want to sign up for. If you could move that development, I don't know, into the next, they can't do it. It's a no-go. So this kind of stuff being absolutely jammed down Washington State's throat. How much have you heard about this? If you're in Washington State, have you heard about this? You haven't? No, this is one of those laws that you probably should have. Washington State is just under the radar, putting on the books because why? Why would you want to do this? Well, we want to help our fellow community. None of these people are even from this state. They're out of state. Everybody that ends up in Seattle, they're not from Seattle. 85% of them are not from Seattle. So this whole notion that everybody's just one paycheck away from being homeless. Nah, build it and they will come. And that's what Seattle has done. That is what Portland has done. That's what San Francisco has done. San Francisco is turning the tide because their mayor, Daniel Lurie, he is going ham on anti this kind of stuff, right? He's going ham. He's making people accountable, and he understands cleaning up the streets. You got to have a strong police presence. You got to have cops all over, and that's not happening in Washington State because we hate the police here. Defund the police, greatest concept ever. Right up there with the whole Black Lives Matter until 2 black kids got killed, murdered at the Black Lives Matter event. But we don't want to, go over yesterday's news, do we? Yeah. Some of the people impacted by the stories happening in Plymouth Crossing and Bellevue, they might like to go over some of those stories. Yeah, because it ain't good. These are not good things happening, but it's what's happening. And I'll keep you posted. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks again for joining. Bye for now.